spending within the 3% provided for under the law. 3, enhance domestic revenue mobilization to increase the revenue to GDP ratio to a target of 18% over the medium term. 4, limit the borrowing to restore the debt to GDP ratio to within 50% over the medium term as provided for in the Charter for Fiscal Responsibility. 5, continued alignment of the budget to the National Development Plan to ensure that our development priorities are adequately funded. 6, automate government processes and systems to enhance efficiency, save money, fight fraud, and other forms of corruption. 7, rationalization and restructuring of government to eliminate duplication, overlaps, mandate wars, and resource wastage. Now I turn to financial year budget priorities. Madam Speaker, the key priorities for the financial year 22-23 budget are the following. 1, enhancement of security, the rule of law, and fighting corruption. 2, sustaining economic recovery. 3, implementation of the parish development model to create wealth and jobs. 4, promotion of agro-industrialization, standards, and market entry. 5, commercialization of oil and gas. 6, enhancement of transport, energy, and ICT infrastructure. 7, enhancing human capital development, science, innovation, and knowledge transfer. 8, enhancing public sector effectiveness and efficiency. Enhancing security, the rule of law, and anti-corruption. Madam Speaker, peace, security, and stability, as well as rule of law, are the bedrock of socio-economic transformation. We all know that. And thus must remain the key government priority. Peace, security, and stability. Madam Speaker, the recent surge in cattle theft and cross-border conflicts in the Karamoja sub-region have been and will continue to be addressed. I'm sure the President will make a comment on this. In a recent supplementary budget, government provided shillings 112.5 billion to facilitate the UPDF to carry out operations and the Ministry of Works and Transport to construct security roads in the Karamoja sub-region. The UPDF will also continue with the pacification of the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo in line with the agreement with the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Madam Speaker, with respect to capacity and the well-being of our security forces, government will, in the medium term, embark on enhancement of pay for our gallant men and women in uniform. I'm talking, I always talk. Madam Speaker, the construction of the military referral hospital in Mbuya is on schedule and within budget. Madam Speaker, in order to enhance surveillance and improve crime detection, the first phase of CCTV camera project was successfully implemented with installation of over 3,000 cameras countrywide. The second phase is now 95% complete and it targets all cities and the major highways. Madam Speaker, 3.987 trillion shillings has been provided for improvement of security and security infrastructure. Rule of law. Madam Speaker, in order to enhance the rule of law, the priority will be to improve the dispensation of justice for all. The judiciary will be supported to allow for speedy dispensation of justice and address the backlog of cases. In terms of systems that enhance the judicial process, the Electronic Court Case Management Information System to improve case management is now functional in 7 court circuits within the Greater Kampala metropolitan area. Additionally, the video conferencing system is operational in several courts across the country, to roll out the electronic court case management information system and video conferencing system in addition to 10 courts will also commence next financial year. Madam Speaker, administration of justice will be strengthened with the recruitment of more judicial officers, the establishment of 2 regional courts of appeal in Gulu and Mbarara, and 2 high court circuits in Luero and Soroti. In addition, 3 chief magistrate courts in Albeton, Liantonde, Budaka, and 4 grade 1 magistrate courts in Karenga, Patongo, Abim, Kiankwanzi Dukes will also be established. Madam Speaker, in order to further improve the delivery of justice, the construction of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal building will be completed soon. In addition, the chief magistrate buildings in Hoima, Ruero, Masindi districts, among others, were rehabilitated during the ending financial year. Madam Speaker, over 78% of the population can now access a frontline service point within a 5-kilometer radius. District coverage of justice frontline service points has increased from 61.5% in 2017 to 74% in 2021. Anti-corruption. Madam Speaker, we continue to make progress in the fight against corruption. There was increased declaration of income, assets, and liabilities by leaders from 25,000 to 400,000 in 2021, with increase in the scope of public servants who are required to declare income, assets, and liabilities. This financial year, $3 billion has been recovered from corrupt leaders and public servants and deposited with the consolidated fund. We need more. Madam Speaker, to enhance the rule of law and to step up the fight against corruption, I have provided shillings 381.6 billion to the judiciary, shillings 95.0 billion for the Directorate of Public Prosecution, shillings 876.4 billion for the Uganda Police, and shillings 308.7 billion for the Uganda Prison Service. I have also allocated 79.4 billion for the Inspectorate of Government. Implementation of the parish development model. Madam Speaker and colleagues, in order to integrate the 5.5 million households currently working in the subsistence economy into the money economy and to proactively create wealth and jobs, the parish development model is going to be fully implemented in the coming financial year. Fully. Madam Speaker, in the financial year ending June 2022, 234 billion was provided for implementation of the PDM. More efforts have been focused on preparatory activities to prepare for full implementation of the model. These include recruitment of parish chiefs by all districts, data collection, verification of beneficiaries, establishment of circles, setting up of the PDM management unit in the Ministry of Local Government, and sensitization and mobilization, among others. Madam Speaker, next financial year, I provided a total of 1,059 Uganda shillings for full implementation of the model. Each of the 10,594 parishes in the country will receive 100 million as a revolving fund, earmarked for purchase of agricultural inputs by households still in subsistence. Madam Speaker, the parish development model will be complemented by other government programs such as the Myoga Fund, the Microfinance Support Center credit to other circles, village savings groups, the Small Business Recovery Fund, and other wealth creation initiatives. Now I turn to agricultural production. Madam Speaker, agricultural production will be enhanced using the first pillar of the parish development model that addresses production, agro-processing, and marketing through enhanced access and entry to national, regional, and global markets. This value chain approach allows development of sustainable linkages. The key interventions will include: 1, development of key commodities value chains that have a high impact on transforming the 39% of households in subsistence into the money economy. These include coffee, beef, dairy cattle, poultry, fish, piggery, fruits, food crops for intensive farming, the rest of enterprise including cassava, bananas, rice, Irish potatoes, millet, cotton, tea, cashew nuts, among others, will also be supported, but for relatively bigger farmers. Expansion of irrigation schemes and providing community and individual-owned farm water for production to minimize reliance on rain-fed agriculture and ensuring sustained agricultural production. Enhancement of research, breeding, and appropriate technology development through the National Animal Genetic Resource Center and the Data Bank and the National Agricultural Research Organization. Investment in and effective regulation of production, multiplication, and certification of quality agricultural inputs, including seeds, seedlings, stocking materials, and fertilizers. Enhancement of enterprise selection through enhanced farmer education and general agricultural extension, as well as pest and disease control at parish level. Promotion of appropriate land use, mechanization, cooperatives, and development of partnerships with large-scale farmers to produce for export and industrial value addition. Supporting fishing communities by developing hatcheries, fish ponds, and equipping them with engines, nets, etc. Madam Speaker, I have allocated shillings 564.39 billion to increase production and productivity through the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries, and Fisheries. Now, climate change and environment degradation. Madam Speaker and colleagues, climate change is a significant risk for agriculture production and food security. In order to mitigate environmental degradation, we have set a target to increase the national forest cover from the current 20.4% to 15%. Central forest reserves will be protected from encroachment by resurveying and marking of 6,200 square kilometers of boundary. Madam Speaker, 850 square kilometers of wetlands and forests will also be restored by 1, having them demarcated and gazetted, and 2, evicting all encroachers. Mbulire. Madam Speaker, I have allocated shillings 268 billion in the next financial year 2022-23 for actions to mitigate and adapt to climate change. Now I turn promoting agro-industrialization, standards, and market entry. Madam Speaker, promoting agro-industrialization, enforcing product standards, and enabling market access and entry are key aspects for creating wealth and jobs. Next financial year, the following interventions will be prioritized: expanding storage and processing capacity for agricultural commodities within the 18 zones of this country. 2, enhancing the use of warehouse receipt system to improve commodity storage, reduce post-harvest losses, improve value chain management, and increase income to farmers. 3, providing funds for private sector investment in key commodity agro-processing value chains through soft and patient debt from UDB and equity from UDC. 4, strengthening of standards for quality assurance to improve access to markets. 5, establishing a system for issuance and management of internationally recognized product barcodes, branding, packaging, and labeling of Uganda's products for visibility. 6, enhancing implementation of the export development strategy, including carrying out negotiations for access and entry to regional and international markets. 7, establishing fully serviced industrial parks. 8, promoting investment in strategic industries such as manufacture of pharmaceuticals, industrial sugar, starch, herbal extracts, and cotton-based medical sundries. 9, finalize the enactment of pending legal instruments, for example, the Competition Bill and the Consumer Protection Bill, anti-counterfeits and quality product laws. 10, developing a master plan for the Zombo Tea Factory and establishing enabling infrastructure including water and electricity. 11, expanding the Soroti Fruit Factory by installing additional processing equipment, supporting there is also a factory in a place called Kakoge, which is handling Soroti fruit, which is handling mangoes, pineapples, and I visited it last Friday. That also will definitely help. 12, supporting a settlement of 200 aggregation and collective marketing societies with cleaning, drying, grading, and processing equipment. I have allocated 1.449 trillion to promote agro-industrialization standards and market entry. Supporting economic recovery and commercialization of oil and gas. Madam Speaker, as I reported earlier, we have taken major steps to revive business activities, which we shall continue to do in the medium and in the following sectors. Tourism. Madam Speaker, tourism was severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. The good news is that the sector is recovering very fast. Government shall support the sector to return to its pre-pandemic levels and beyond by prioritizing the following interventions. 1, facilitation of Uganda Tourism Board to rebrand and promote Uganda under the new Explore Uganda brand. 2, sustaining and upscaling investment in tourism infrastructure like roads, electricity, internet, and security. 3, easing access to recovery financing at the Uganda Development Bank. 4, intensifying promotion of domestic tourism. Madam Speaker, I have provided tourism activities with shillings 194.7 billion to complement private sector investment and support its recovery. Commercialization of oil and gas. Madam Speaker and colleagues, the construction of the East African crude oil pipeline is expected to commence the coming financial year. The capacity of the Uganda National Oil Company to invest in oil and gas development has also been enhanced. While there have been negative campaigns against the development of the crude oil pipeline, the government will develop Uganda's oil and gas resources in a responsible and sustainable manner for the benefit of all Ugandans. Madam Speaker, I have allocated shillings 904.1 billion towards the development and commercialization of minerals, oil, and gas. Enhancing human capital development. Madam Speaker, having successfully contained the COVID-19 pandemic over the last 2 years, our efforts are going to be focused on improving the quality of life of the people of Uganda by prioritizing the following. Health. Madam Speaker, the emphasis now is on mass vaccination of all eligible persons and community disease surveillance by strengthening village health teams with training and equipping them with a smartphone and a bicycle. Additional health assistants and surveillance officers will be recruited to support the VHTs. Madam Speaker, the development of health infrastructure nationwide will continue. The rehabilitation and expansion of the following general hospitals will be undertaken: Itojo, Kabongo, Abimu, Kambuga, Masindi, Kanungu, Kapchorwa, Bugiri, and Amudat. In addition, 43 health centers, 2 will be upgraded to health center 3s, and 17 new health center 3s will be built in sub-counties without health facilities of such health facilities. 75 staff houses will also be built in the Karamoja region. Madam Speaker, next financial year, the Ministry of Health will start implementing the Uganda COVID-19 Emergency Response and Preparedness Project, supported by a grant from the World Bank amounting to US dollars 100.3 million, which is equivalent to 667.1 billion Uganda shillings. This grant will finance the rapid detection, prevention, and quick responses to threats posed by COVID-19 pandemic. It will also finance the strengthening of national systems for public health preparedness. Madam Speaker and colleagues, the construction and equipping of a modern health facility will commence in the coming financial year to be located in Naguru. This US dollar 70 million facility will be funded by the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa, BADEA, the Saudi Fund for Development, SDF, and the OPEC Fund for International Development, OPEC Fund. Madam Speaker, I have allocated a total of 3.722 trillion for healthcare delivery in the financial year 22-23. Now I go to water. Madam Speaker, national safe water coverage now stands at 69.8%, with the coverage in rural areas at 68% and 71.6% in the urban areas. Our target is to increase safe water coverage to 81% over the medium term. Madam Speaker, during financial year 21-22, the following major water projects were implemented. 1, 5 medium-scale irrigation schemes in Ngenge, that is in Kwen district, Ruwenga-Aju in Kabarole district, Tochi in Oyam district, Mubukutu in Kasese district, and Doho 2 in Butaleja district. 106 small-scale irrigation schemes in the districts of Bugiri, Bukedia, Tororo, Iganga, Mbale, Kapchorwa, Pakwach, and many others. 3, substantial completion of Katosi water treatment plant, which will produce 160 million liters of water per day. 4, upgrading of Kapeka water supply system to 5 million liters per day, double the current capacity. 5, rehabilitation and expansion of the Sembabule water supply project. This plant is now able to produce 30 million liters per day. Madam Speaker, the following water projects which are ongoing will continue to be implemented. 1, construction of 80-kilometer water supply infrastructure from River Nile to serve 484,000 people in Acholi and Lango sub-region. 2, constructing water infrastructure from River Kagera to serve an additional 75,000 people in Isingiro, Mbarara, and Masaka sub-regions. The Wakiso wastewater and sanitation project, that's number 3. Number 4, the rehabilitation and expansion of Mbale water supply scheme. Number 5, construction of wastewater treatment plant targeting Kirudu Hospital. Madam Speaker, I have allocated shillings 1.027 trillion towards the water and environmental sub-program. Now I turn to education. Madam Speaker, education is a key opportunity equalizer for human beings. During the COVID-19 induced lockdown period, many teachers abandoned the profession and classrooms got dilapidated in several institutions. But now efforts have started to revamp the education sector. Priority will be put on improving the quality of education to enhance learning outcomes. The following will be undertaken. 1, staffing gaps will be filled in primary and secondary schools. 2, training of teachers and instructors on the new abridged curriculum will continue, and the lower secondary curriculum will be rolled out. 3, continuous assessment will be fully rolled out. 4, inspections across all learning institutions will be strengthened using teacher education and learning assessment system. 5, operationalization of the Moroto Constituent College of Agriculture, Mountains of the Moon, Busoga University will take effect. Consultation to operationalize Bunyoro University will commence next financial year 23-24. 6, construction and equipping of 2-unit laboratories in 21 secondary schools currently without any, in line with the science, technology, engineering, and maths policy. And 7, the construction, upgrading, and equipping of vocational education centers of excellence in Bushenyi, Lira, Ergon Technical Institution will be completed. Madam Speaker, I have allocated 4.14 trillion towards the education and skilling sub-program. Science and innovation. Madam Speaker, we are developing 3 prospective COVID-19 vaccines which are undergoing in animal trials. Human trials will commence next financial year. In addition, clinical trials for COVID-19 treatment for viral respiratory diseases are also ongoing. Next financial year, research into medicine development will be expanded to cancer, diabetes, sickle cell anemia, and malaria. Madam Speaker, in September this year, Uganda will launch into the lower Earth orbit its first ever satellite from the International Space Station in collaboration with the USA National Aeronautic and Space Administration, NASA. A ground station at Impoma, Mukono, will receive data from the satellite. The data from this satellite will be used for meteorological, environmental monitoring, urban planning, mineral exploration, and disaster management, among others. Madam Speaker, I have allocated shillings 274.4 billion towards advancing innovation and technological development in this country. Enhancing transport and the power infrastructure. Madam Speaker, the following achievements have been recorded in transport infrastructure development. 1, construction and upgrading of 20 national roads covering a total distance of 1,437 kilometers has been done. 2, the rehabilitation has commenced on 160 kilometers of Tororo-Gulu meter gauge railway and 265 kilometers of Tororo-Namamve railway line section. The procurement of locomotives is ongoing. 3, continuation with the compensation and acquisition of right-of-way for the Kampala-Malaba standard gauge railway will continue. 4, the rehabilitation of the Entebbe International Airport stands at 75% completion, and the Kabale International Airport is at 72%. 5, maintenance of 5,200 kilometers of paved and 15,350 kilometers of unpaved national and city roads, and 21,631 kilometers of unpaved local government and community roads has been undertaken. Madam Speaker, next financial, the following interventions in transport infrastructure will be implemented. 1, construction of 400 kilometers equivalent of roads to bitumen standards, rehabilitation, construction of 200 kilometers equivalent, and construction of 30 bridges on the national roads network. 2, rehabilitation of 922 kilometers of district roads and 126 kilometers of local government roads. 3, we shall continue with the development of the Bukasa Inland Port. 4, we shall commence Uganda Airlines flights to London and China. Madam Speaker, I have allocated shillings 4.3 trillion next financial year for the transport infrastructure development and maintenance. Power infrastructure, Madam Speaker. National electricity access today stands at 57% shamefully, of which 19% is on the main national grid and 38% is off-grid, including solar power. Uganda's total electricity generation capacity has increased from 1,269 megawatts in financial year 2019-20 to 1,347 megawatts in financial year 21-22 on account of the completion of 42 megawatt actual one, the 21 megawatt Nyamagasani, and the 15.5 megawatt Sugar Corporation of Uganda plants. The transmission network increased from 3,100 kilometers in financial year 2021 to 3,431 kilometers at the end of the third quarter financial year 21-22 as a result of commissioning of the Karuma Kawanda 400 kV and the Karuma Ruyo 132 kV transmission lines. The Ruzira substation was completed and will be commissioned after completion of the 15-kilometer 132 kV transmission line. Madam Speaker, in the next financial year, the following interventions in power infrastructure will continue to be implemented. 1, commence the unit-by-unit commissioning of the 600 megawatt Karuma hydro plant in September 2022, with the plant being fully available in June 2023. 2, complete the Opuyo Moroto, Lira Guru Nebi Arua, Lira Guru Agago, and the Mutundwe and Tebe 132 kVA transmission lines. 3, commence feasibility and design studies for the 400 kV Uganda-South Sudan transmission line between Oruyo, Nimule, Juba, the 400 kV Uganda Democratic Republic of Congo interconnection, and the 400 kV Uganda-Tanzania transmission line. Madam Speaker, I have provided 1.573 trillion to ensure the above are undertaken. Information communication technology infrastructure. Madam Speaker, the geographical coverage of broadband services stands at 66%, allowing digital access for 74% of the population. Next financial year, the government will support the fourth industrial revolution technologies. These include artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and the use of robotics. We shall also extend broadband ICT infrastructure to enable connectivity to facilitate public service delivery. Madam Speaker, I have allocated 124.2 billion towards digitization. Enhancing public sector effectiveness and efficiency. Madam Speaker, public sector effectiveness and efficiency will be improved through the following measures. 1, continued rationalization of government and public expenditure. 2, automation of government businesses and service delivery. This includes e-procurement, the Parish Development Model Information System, government asset management, education, information management, electronic document management, integrated health management information system, e-payment gateway, and the e-post digital platform. We shall also, 3, we shall also embark on decongesting the Citizenship and Immigration Office in Kampala by establishing centers in the Kampala Capital City divisions, commencing with the Nakawa division. 4, the salaries of medical workers, scientists, and science teachers have been enhanced. Very big. In addition, I think I'll repeat this one. The salaries of medical workers, scientists, and science teachers have been enhanced. To a figure which is about 900 billion. In addition, to incentivizing scientists. This will also help to improve functionality of education and health facilities by addressing absenteeism and low morale to personnel. Let me repeat this. In addition to incentivizing scientists, this will also help to improve functionality of education and health facilities by addressing absenteeism and low morale of personnel. Madam Speaker, to enhance the decentralization policy, a total of shillings 5.1 trillion has been provided as directive financing to local governments. Fiscal framework and the financing strategy for financial year 22-23. Madam Speaker, the financial year 22-23 budget priorities I have just elaborated will be financed from the following sources. 1, enhanced domestic revenue mobilization. 2, external financing in the form of loans and grants from our development partners and private creditors. 3, public-private partnerships that mobilize the private sector financing for public projects. The resource envelope for financial year 22-23, Madam Speaker and colleagues, the resource envelope for financial year 22-23 amounts to shillings 130.7 billion or 48.13 trillion, and is comprised of both domestic and external resources as detailed below. Domestic revenue amounts to 30,797.3 billion, of which 23,754.9 billion will be tax revenue, and 1,795.9 billion will be non-tax revenue. Domestic borrowing amounts to 5,007.9 billion. Budget support accounts for shillings 2,609.2 billion. External financing for projects amounting to shillings 6,716 billion, of which shillings 4,625.7 billion is from loans, and shillings 2,990.5 billion is from grants. Appropriation in aid collected by local governments amount to shillings 238.5 billion, and domestic debt refinancing will amount to shillings 8,008 billion. Madam Speaker, total expenditure will be shillings 48,130.7 billion, or put it 48.13 trillion. Excluding domestic debt refinancing and appropriation in aid, it amounts to 39,884.2 billion, of which wages and salaries is 6,366.9 billion. Interest payments is shillings 4,691.9 billion. Non-wage current expenditure is shillings 14,254.4 billion, and development expenditure is shillings 14,565.9 billion. Tax measures for the financial year 2022-23. Madam Speaker, no new taxes will be introduced in financial year 22-23. I heard people disputing this, and I'm repeating it. I think this is the 5th time. Let me read it again. No new taxes will be introduced in the financial year 22-23. We will achieve revenue targets by improving the efficiency in tax collection and enhancing compliance to the tax laws. The capacity of the Uganda Revenue Authority will be enhanced by recruiting and training staff, deploying appropriate equipment and ICT to enforce tax laws. Madam Speaker, I wish to report that Parliament has made amendments to the various tax laws intended to simplify the laws, clarify previously ambiguous provisions, and close loopholes that may lead to revenue leakage, but not increasing taxes. Madam Speaker, the amendments that have been made are the Income Tax Act, Value-Added Tax, the Stamp Duty Act, and the Tax Procedures Act. I will now highlight the major amendments. Income tax. Madam Speaker, the corporate income tax exemption for Jagali Hydropower project has been extended for 1 year up to 30th June 2023 in order not to increase electricity tariffs for power that the project will generate. Madam Speaker, the Income Tax Act has been amended to streamline the rental income tax regime for individuals and non-individuals as follows. 1. Introduce a zero rental income tax rate for individuals that earn annual rental income not exceeding 2,820,000 shillings and a rate of 20% of rental income exceeding that amount. 2. For rental business, introduce a 30% rental income tax rate on rental income with expenses capped to 50% for each year of income. In addition, any excess expenses shall not be carried forward to a subsequent year of income. Value-added tax. Madam Speaker, under the Value-Added Tax Act, the following amendments have been made. Exempted the supply of oxygen cylinders or oxygen for medical use to reduce the cost of the supply of oxygen for medical use. 2. Exempted the supply of assistive devices for persons with disabilities to reduce the cost of equipment used by persons with disabilities. 3. Exempted the supply of airport user services charged by the Civil Aviation Authority to reduce the cost of transiting through Entebbe Airport. 4. To allow for cash-basis accounting for suppliers who supply goods and services to the government to facilitate them to hedge against the risk of interest and penalties arising from delayed payments by government. 5. Repealed the exemption on VAT on imported services used in the provision of an exempt supply to encourage businesses to use local suppliers of services such as information and communication technological services. Tax Procedures Code. Madam Speaker, the amendment under Tax Procedure Code Act include the following. Introduced penalties for failure to provide information for purposes of automatic exchange of information to improve compliance. 2. Introduce penalties for failure to adhere to the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution and digital tax stamps. This is intended to combat tax evasion and smuggling and other vices. Stamp duty. Madam Speaker, under the stamp duty, the following amendments have been made. Provide for nil stamp duty on the following instruments. A. Agreements relating to the deposit of title deeds or personal property or goods to another as a pledge or as a security for a sum of money borrowed. B. Agriculture insurance policy to encourage the uptake of agriculture insurance services. C. Security bond or mortgage deed executed by way of security for the due execution of an office or to account for money or other property received by virtue of a security bond or mortgage deed executed by surety for to secure a loan or a credit facility. Clarification of the rate of shillings 15,000 applicable on transmission of property from the administrator to an estate of the beneficiary. Excise duty. Madam Speaker, Under the Excise Duty Act, the government has undertaken the following amendments. 1. Clarification of the definitions of various products that attract excise duty, such as spirits and juices, to enhance taxpayer compliance. 2. Reduce excise duty applicable on opaque beer and fermented beverages made from locally sourced raw materials to 12% or 150 shillings per liter, whichever is higher. This is intended to promote value addition and the use of locally sourced raw materials. The mid-term financing strategy. Madam Speaker, the financing of the budget will be generated from implementation of the following revenue and public debt measures. Domestic revenue mobilization. Madam Speaker, the objective of government in financial 22-23 is to increase revenue by 0.8% of GDP. The major assumptions that underpin this goal are expected increase in taxable income activities, gains from revenue enhancement measures, and 3, increased employment and aggregate demand for goods and services arising from the full reopening of the economy. Public investment financing strategy. Madam Speaker, the government will implement the public investment financing strategy starting next financial year to achieve the following objectives. 1, improve alignment of sustainable financing options to government programs and projects. 2, minimize the cost and risk exposure of financing modalities. 3, ensure prudent loans acquisition to avoid debt accumulation in a short period and timely disbursement of loan funds. 4, long-term fiscal sustainability. 5, increase financing from traditional and other innovative sources to meet the development financial requirements. And 6, provide a framework for partnership with the private sector in the implementation and financing of public investment programs. Public debt management. Madam Speaker, as at the end of December 2021, Uganda's total public debt stock stood at shillings 73.5 trillion, equivalent to US dollars 20.7 billion, of which external debt amounted to shillings 45.7 trillion, equivalent to US dollars 20.5 billion, and domestic debt amounted to shillings 27.77 trillion, equivalent to US dollars 7.84 billion. This represents a nominal debt to GDP ratio of 49.7%. The rise in debt stock was mainly on account of need to support the economy and preserve the welfare of households as a result of COVID-19 and other external and domestic shocks. Debt was also used to finance the shortfalls in domestic revenue. Madam Speaker, the government is implementing the following measures to ensure long-term public debt sustainability. 1, reduce the level of domestic borrowing over the medium term to an average of 2.2% of GDP per year. This ratio will be reduced further to a policy target of 1.0% of GDP over the long term. 2. Implement the public investment financing strategy. This strategy will ensure alignment of suitable financing modalities with the nature of government programs and projects. 3. Implement the financial year 22-23 borrowing strategy, which is consistent with our medium-term debt management strategy to avoid risks associated with unsustainable debt. 4. Borrow largely on favorable terms and for projects that enhance productivity of the economy. 5. Sequencing new projects in a manner that makes the government service its debt obligations without the risk of default. This means the government will only mobilize debt financing for ready projects and will cancel projects with poor performance. I will repeat this. This means the government will only mobilize debt financing for ready projects and will cancel projects with poor performance. 6, increase domestic revenue by implementing the domestic revenue mobilization strategy. Now, conclusion. Conclusion. Madam Speaker and colleagues, the budget for the next financial year presents a set of strategic choices and the government's commitment to stimulate economic recovery, enhance productivity and competitiveness of enterprises, and most importantly, wealth creation and jobs for the ordinary Ugandans. Substantial resources have been earmarked for the implementation of the parish development model. This model will be a vehicle of socio-economic transformation at the parish level and the monetization of Uganda's economy. Successful implementation of the parish development model ushers in a mass socio-economic transformation movement in our society with better sustained outcomes. I therefore urge all leaders and Ugandans to ensure that these resources are effectively used to bring about the desired change. I repeat this. I therefore urge all the leaders at whatever level and whatever sector and Ugandans to ensure that these resources are effectively used to bring about the desired change. It will really be a very big shame to hear that this money we are sending down for the parish development model, some money has gone to cham. Very shameful. Please, this is our country. We should stand firm. There's nobody who is going to come to help you when we cannot help ourselves. When we get resources, let those resources go for the purpose for which they have been given. To the Ugandan scientists and health workers, government has fulfilled its commitment to enhancing your pay. You have heard. Uganda expects better service in return. Kankademu. Tit for tat. Tit for tat. Mpankwe. You give me, I give you. I have enhanced the sciences salaries by a figure which I mentioned. I expect to get a better return. To the micro, small and medium enterprises, I implore you to take advantage of the economic recovery programs and the opportunities that come with petroleum and other public infrastructure investment to re-strategize, recover your business, recovery programs and the opportunities that come with petroleum and other public infrastructure investments to re-strategize, recover your businesses, expand, and formalize. This way, you will be able to benefit more from the now bigger East African community market and create decent and better paying jobs for our children. For our who? For the women entrepreneurs, the grant from the World Bank will support the growth of your enterprises, create better paying jobs and enable you to exploit the opportunities in the economy to enhance your incomes. Abakyala. Nzendese. For me to be happy and to believe that you have responded, you must be productive. You must be productive, more wealth, and more bigger business, both internally and externally, and you give me taxes so that I don't have to go to borrow and be abused as an old man, that what have you come here, go back to Uganda. This has happened to me in one case. Madam Speaker, I dedicate this budget to delivering the Ugandan household still in the subsistence to the money economy. I thank all of you for listening to me, and may good Lord keep you in good health so that we see this Uganda becoming a much better place for everybody to live in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister of Finance.
Item number 6, remarks by His Excellency the President.
Her Excellency the Vice President, the Right Honorable Speaker, His Lordship the Chief Justice, all the other leaders, and honorable members of Parliament. You have heard the speech by the Minister. It is clear enough. I just want to introduce two words. One is waka, and those who speak our Acho language know that waka, wake, means boasting. You boast. The Banyankole call it okwesimirana. When you are on a beer party among the Banyankole, you can say, I have got more cows than all of you. You boast. And with the Banyankole, they just laugh. They don't take offense. Because they also want to be rich like you. But I'm told that among the Achoris, they may spear you. That if you work, they may spear you. But since I'm a bit far from Gorak and Wake here, and the other one is Poko Marom. Poko Marom. That is okugabula bulungi, to distribute food well or fairly. In Acholi, we call it Poko Marom. In 2000 by 2005 and 6, the country was getting into a problem. Our people in finance, without consultation, had agreed with the donors that all the government revenue should go for expenditure of running the country. Salaries and so on. And that what they call recurrent expenditure. And that the development budget will only be supported by the donors. I didn't know this. They didn't consult me, but that's what they had agreed. And you remember by 2005, we had a big shortage of electricity. That's when load shedding started. After the elections, 2006, I called a conference of the cabinet, but also the NRM caucus. And I said, you people, I cannot accept this. We must budget for both the recurrent and the development budget. And we agreed. That's when we put more money on the roads and more money on electricity, apart from whatever we are putting on education and health and water. Now, I was checking the results of that decision, which was Poko Marom. If you go on the roads, I have the whole list here. Kapchorwa Swam, there was government funding there, together with some other funds. Bulima Kaboya, government funding there with others. Nyakaishta Kazo, government funding with others. Bumbovi Rohaha, government funding. Chigumba Bulima, government funding. Rukunjiri Chihi, government funding with others. Masaka Bukakata, government funding with others. Hoima Butiaba Wanseko, government spending with some other groups. Buhimba Narweyo, Bolamayibo, and so on, government spending with others. Masindi Park, Paraburisa, government funding with others. Hoha, Nyairongo, Charusesa, Butore, Kabare, Chizaramfumbi, government funding with others. Atiak, Laropi, government funding with others. Kampala Northern Bypass, government funding with others. Kampala Gayaza Zerobwe, government funding alone, nobody else. Just government money. Matugasemto, government funding alone. Busega Mtiana, government funding, government of Uganda funding alone. Busega Mtiana too, government funding, government of Uganda alone. Fort Portal Bunduwijo, government of Uganda alone. Ishaka Kagamba, government of Uganda alone. Mubende Kakumiro Kagadi, government of Uganda alone. Ruaha, government of Uganda alone. Moroto, Axim, government of Uganda alone. Sorot Katakwi, government of Uganda alone. Rushwele, that's near my home, government of Uganda alone. Kashenyi Mitoma, Kitabi, government of Uganda alone. Kitara Gerenge, government of Uganda alone. Mbarra Municipality Roads, government of Uganda alone. Mpigi Town Roads, government of Uganda alone. Chira Matuga, government of Uganda alone. This one is ongoing. Moroto Roktenyara, Government of Uganda alone. Entebbe Hospital, Entebbe Pediatric Hospital, Government of Uganda alone. Kirama Tuga, Government of Uganda alone. Najanankumbi Busawala, Government of Uganda alone. And so on. The list is so long. I will send this list to the honorable MPs so that you can see. This was now new construction, constructing new roads or reconstructing old ones. But there is rehabilitation. Mitiana Mbende, Government of Uganda alone. Katunguru Kasese, Government of Uganda alone. Soroti Dokoro, Lira Kamdin, World Bank and Government of Uganda. Tororo Mbare Soroti, World Bank, Government of Uganda. Masaka Town, Government of Uganda alone. Rehabilitation of Budo Roads, Government of Uganda alone. Namu Sisironko Muyembe, Government of Uganda alone. And so on. I will send you this document. Rehabilitation of Nakalama, Tirinyi Mbare, Government of Uganda alone. Fort Portal Hima, Government of Uganda alone. Mukono Karagi Kayunga Bukoloto, Njeru, Government of Uganda alone. Nansa Nabusunju, Government of Uganda alone. Ishaka Katunguru, Government of Uganda alone. Hima Katunguru, Government of Uganda alone. Chenjojo Fort Portal, Government of Uganda alone. Sunjira Hill, something, Government of Uganda alone. Bundubujo Nyahuka, Government of Uganda alone. Mvara Idiofe, this is in Arua, Government of Uganda alone. Iganga Kariro, Government of Uganda alone. Pakwachi Nebi, Government of Uganda alone. Kamdini Gulu, Government of Uganda alone. Chiriandongo Karuma Kamdini, Government of Uganda alone. Jinja Kamuri, Government of Uganda alone. Mbare Soroti, Government of Uganda alone. Tororo Mbare, Government of Uganda alone. Kawempe Kafu, Chiriandongo, Government of Uganda alone, and so on. This is now the roads coming out of that decision of 2006, where we said we must have our own money to deal with the development budget. On the side of electricity, the same. Hoima Chinyara, there are many other projects, geothermal resources, Energy Investment Fund. There are so many other programs here of the petroleum. So many projects, nuclear energy, and so on. But I just want the lines which people can easily see. Mbara Nkenda, Tororo, Government of Uganda with some other people. Some project here, abbreviation. Industrial parks, Government of Uganda with some other people. Opuyo, Moroto, Government of Uganda with some other people. Kampala Entebbe, Government of Uganda with some other people. Karuma, because this Karuma and Isimba we contributed, it was the government of Uganda and China. Muzizi, government of Uganda with some other people. Nyagak, government of Uganda with some other people. So many of them. Oh, I will send you the whole list. So, the point I'm making here is that the Poko, Marong, the Okugaburo Bulungi, this money has made so much impact. And on the area of science and technology, we have built the Chira motors. We are working on putting a satellite in space with our own money. The pathogen economy, the vaccines, which I hear you attacking Musenera about. I'll come back and defend Musenera and people will hide somewhere. Because God fortunately gave me my voice. I can talk, you can talk, but I can also talk. The human vaccines, the anti-tick vaccine, the foot and mouth and swine fever vaccine, Covidex, digital electronics and automation, all these are funded by the government of Uganda, either wholly or partially. So this shows you, that's why I thought I should do. Wake, is it Wake? Yeah, I thought I should come here and really boast. Say, you see, didn't I tell you? And because of these measures, you had in the speech of the minister saying that the GDP per capita is now 1,046. This is what I had told you here the other day. But he did not come out to clearly say that we have now entered the entrance of the middle income. I don't know what he feared. I don't know whether he feared that we may enter in the entrance and then go back. I don't know what he feared. Go back out of the entrance. But I don't see how we shall go back from the entrance. Because the entry point is 1,000. Some say 36, some say 39. These people can tell you the exact figure. So these steps are a result of the deliberate, as the minister said in his speech, are a result of deliberate steps. Some of the deliberate steps we take, but others, we don't take them and waste a lot of time. If I had not insisted in 2006 to put this man on the roads, I don't know where Uganda would be, and electricity. I remember, for instance, the line from Konakilak to Patongo to Karongo and maybe Abim. The Swedish had promised us to do it. But last minute they said, no, we can't do it because there is war, there is what? That's when we said, no, we shall use our own money and do it. And we did not only take the line to Patongo and Kalongo and Abim, but we went even further to the Ramos and so on. So therefore, I really want to advise the political leaders to know that Poko, Marom has positive consequences. Now, in my up-country tour, I've discovered one problem which I've been talking about, but not insisting, because that's my way of working. I don't want to force people to do what I think. I would rather persuade them. Just the other day, we were in Moroto, and we were looking at the UBOS figures. The primary 7 completion rate in the whole of Uganda apparently is 38%. The children who go into the primary school and finish P7 are only 38 out of 100, which means that 62 go back to the village. They don't finish P7. And in the case of Karamoja, we found it was only 6 children out of 100 who finished primary 7. And you remember during the elections, I was talking about it. Because when we introduced UPE in 1997, the idea was everybody to go to school, universal education. Universal primary school education. And the reason why these children drop out is because of the school charges. I've been telling you about this so many times, begging, talking, as if I want people to come and work on my farm or do me a favor. So now, this is a big problem for the country. To find that children, and you can see it in the elections, I was talking about it. In the primary school, the enrollment is 10 million something, 10 point something, almost 11. But in the secondary schools, only 2 million. Where have the other 8 gone? Of course, in the 10 million, it did not come out that many of them drop out. Of course, many of them drop out. They don't go to the secondary school. So therefore, I call on the political class, especially the NRM people, to say no. We must budget for free and even compulsory primary school education. We budget for it and we stop these teachers greedy for money, collecting money from these children in government schools. This is what I wanted from the beginning, but I can't do it alone. Uganda doesn't belong to me. From 1997, this was my wish. When we introduced UPE, the idea was everybody should finish secondary education. So we should not be talking of 2 million children in the secondary school, we should be talking of 10 million in the secondary school, because secondary school years are S1 to S6, 6 years, they're almost the same as P1 to P7. So why should you have 10 million, almost 11 million in primary and only 2 million in secondary? Where have the others gone? So we may not do it this year because this budget is now finished, but in the next financial, 1 or 2 financial years, we should really work and insist on free and compulsory primary, maybe even with secondary education, and stop all these pharaohs who are looking for money through education. Get out, go in the primary school, private schools and look for money there, not in the government ones. Disgusting. Sending children out of school because we are looking for money, for allowances, for what? It's really disgusting. Now, the other big issue, because people talk of problems, but me, I really, many of them, I'm used to problems. And when I see what you call problems, I say, Bambi, these ones don't know what problems look like. I feel very sorry. But for me, the real problem for Uganda and Africa is lack of food. If there is no food, no mhogo. When I say food, I mean mhogo. I mean bananas. I mean akalo. If the akalo was not there, I don't know what I will do. I mean maize. Maize is important for kaunga, for animal feeds, for fish meals, beans, of course, milk, amate munangi, beef. These are the ones that would do. I would not sleep if we had none or very little of these. Of course, sugar and other things. If spaghetti doesn't come, those who eat spaghetti, I don't know how they do it. You try to put it in their mouth, it is refusing coming. Why don't you do enogo? You know enogo? Enoga. When Mnyankole gets a piece of karo and does like this and puts a hole. What do they call it in Luo? This one, Omona is a former Luo, he doesn't know anything. Somebody help me, please. I'm behaving unparliamentary, very sorry, very sorry. In Parliament, they don't really say. I will find out and tell you next time. So, as long as Uganda is producing enough food, there is no problem we cannot solve. But the danger to the food is number one, some laziness. This 39% of the homes whom want to, under parish model, to say, please join the money economy and produce for the stomach and for the pocket. But the other danger can be lack of rain or unreliable rain. So that's why in our budgeting, there is now something about irrigation. But in the future budgets, I would like us to do more for the irrigation so that we stabilize agriculture. There is no possibility of shortage of food, even if the rain has got some erraticness. But irrigation means water. So we go to the environment. to the environment. So please, all of us must tell these people, especially the ones, the old problem of the wetlands, which was created by the British, was in Busoga and in Bukedi and in Kigezi, where they misled our people to go in the wetlands, thinking that that is a good thing to do. These ones, I have a program to get them out by compensating them because they were misled. They didn't do it themselves, they were misled by the government. But in the other areas, the people who are going to the wetlands are going there by themselves and against our appeals. And I demand that all these people get out of the wetlands unconditionally. We don't have to negotiate because they knew it was not right, they insist. Even here in Kampala, I see some of them encouraging a little bit in Rubiji Swamp and these other swamps. So therefore, once we bring back our water, because 20% of Uganda is under fresh water, we are so lucky, then we shall be able to irrigate easily and have a secure agriculture, and that can give us problems to solve other problems. If there is a shortage of cooking oil from Malaysia, we can easily replace it. In fact, people have come up. Very soon we shall be exporting that cooking oil instead of importing from Malaysia. So many people are involved with sunflower, with simsim, with palm oil. Very soon you will see that Uganda will be a big exporter. The only problem we may not easily solve is the problem of wheat, because we don't have, in Kapchora they try to grow wheat, but I don't think the land is enough. I will talk with the people of agriculture whether wheat needs cold climate or what. That I have never really bothered with wheat myself. I've never studied it. Then on petroleum, in the next few years we shall have our own petroleum, as you know. But of course, even when we have our own petroleum, the price, we cannot undersell our petroleum. It will have to be at par with the world price minus transport. So yes, it somehow deals with it, but not entirely. With fuel, we may have to. I think the real answer to expensive petroleum is rail transport. If we repair our railway to Pakwach, like the minister is saying, and we transport many of the things on the railway, then the demand for fuel, for petrol will go down, and diesel, at least for cargo. And later on with Kasese, that is the real answer to the problem of high petroleum prices. So I congratulate the minister, but I'm glad you have not killed me when I have Wake. I have boasted a bit about the achievements of the NRM. Okwesi Mirana, say, didn't I tell you? Don't you see how much better off we are? Apoyo Rubanga.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for laying down the various projects and the programs that you intend to implement during the financial year 2022-2023. I sincerely want to thank my very able and active members of parliament for ensuring that this day comes to reality. Thank you so much for working tirelessly for ensuring that the day comes to reality. You've had, honorable members, as executive embarks on implementation of the budget from 1st July 2022, it is our noble duty to do our oversight role so as to ensure that the funds that have been allocated are being used for intended use and there is value for money. Mr. President, as has been the case before, thank you for having a clear vision of where the country is moving and championing this vision with commitment and dedication. And we are also happy that you've talked about free education, and members of parliament, our first priority in 2023-2024 should be budgeting for free education. I once again want to thank you, Your Excellency, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for fulfilling your obligation of tabling the budget for the financial year 2022-2023. The rest is now left to the technical team. Whereas it has always been our practice to meet and interact after such an important occasion like today, the current circumstances do not permit us to do so because COVID is still with us. COVID is still with us. We can interact when we are having the workshop. You'll have everything at your exposure.